What are your thoughts on Bill Gates?
I just believe that he's being controlled by a system to a point where a great idea can turn into an even better idea in his mind, but they know what's here. Until you're too far down the rabbit hole, you're too far gone, but there's no way back.
Like this video, subscribe to the channel and turn the notification bell on. So there's a question we like to ask on every podcast, and really it was brought about to light because of lockdown. And then we're going to talk about masculinity. So it seems that Bill Gates is one of the most controversial people in the world. I actually studied him a lot when I was becoming an entrepreneur and learned a lot from the guy and thought he was a pretty good, I would say, philanthropist stroke capitalist. But it seems now that he's one of the most hated people in the world, and a lot of people think he's behind, you know, and that he's nefarious and evil and awful for humanity. We had Robert Malone on, and man, he did an 18-minute rant on the evil of Bill Gates. And it just really fascinates me. Someone so influential, given away hundreds of billions, probably single-handedly got rid of polio, for example. What are your thoughts on Bill Gates? Net positive, net negative for humanity?
People like that are controlled, I believe. People that magnitude of that. He's obviously a very, very smart man. He obviously sees completely outside of reality. He's visualized it and he's put it into play, he's put it into practice. When you visualize something up here and then you physically hold it in your hand, you become a danger. You know, you become a threat, you become someone that is building their own reality. You know, and that's some feat. So when you've got people like that, you've got people like Elon Musk, is exactly the same. They're being, I believe, and again, this is just me, what my beliefs are from the extensive life experience that I've had, not only through life, but through governments, through working with certain agencies, etc. That these people are then sort of fed ideas, I would say, where I generally think at the beginning they think it's a good idea, and then it spirals out of control. So I'm not saying that Bill Gates, I don't believe Bill Gates is a bad man, I don't believe he's an evil man. I just believe that he's being controlled by a system, an organisation, individuals, to a point where they're so cleverly done, where a great idea can turn into an even better idea in his mind, but they know what's here. So they lay it boom, boom, until you're too far down the rabbit hole as such, or you're too far gone that there's no way back. Okay, and then when you're too far gone, there's already stuff on you that you can't go back because you're hitting the if you get past this part, well, guess what you've done? You've done this, and this, and you'll cease to exist. It's like myself. I know I'm not free. You know, I've done stuff. I know that even now we've got past. You know, everything is so controlled. So it's getting more and more controlled. So controlled now, but I'm free in my head for the ideas of what I want. And that gives me liberty. It makes me feel free. It's like I can work towards this, right? That's a sense of freedom. I can work towards that. That's a sense of freedom. I can work, and all that the decentralized world has done is given people that greater sense of freedom in their minds. Doesn't mean that they live it, they exist it, but it's something to look forward to. It's a vision of freedom, and that's what I chase. I chase freedom. I chase a vision of freedom. That's what keeps my mind free, and that's what keeps me going. Even though if I was to concentrate on the exterior stuff, I know that I'm in a fucking box. I know that I'm in the matrix. I know that I'm crammed into this box. I have to adhere to this. I have to do this. I have to do that. I have to do. But if I was to focus on that, then I would feel trapped. Yeah. I would feel, and then I'd probably just bow down to being in a box. It's like a flea, if you put a flea can jump something like 300 times its height. If you put it in a box, it will jump about 10 times and it will hit its head on the box every single time, the lid, until it learns to jump until it just misses the lid, right? And it's that analogy that I keep in my head that I think to myself, that's what we live in ultimately. That's where but if I believe that, then I'm not going to jump to my full potential.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to restrict myself, I'm going to limit myself, and therefore I'm going to, like millions of people do, they live in that headspace, and they live in ultimately they're trapped in their own heads.
Yeah.
Right, but so that's what I always do. I visualize freedom, and freedom is climbing the highest mountains in the world. Freedom is, I'm currently working on a cryptocurrency. And a cryptocurrency, if you can get your own, you create your own currency. It's like, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm working on it very, very hard. We're myself and my team very close. That's the sense of freedom of just living out, and it's like living it. I'm living that in my head, and that's what really keeps me positive. That's what really keeps me going. Yeah, is because I know that if I was to just shrink into the matrix and realize the harsh truths of what actually happens, then I'll be trapped for life. But I think, like I talk about the IQ test, it's a case of like how easily manipulated are people? Very easily. How can we control people? Through fear? Absolutely. How the pandemic being one of them. When it first came out, this was the most spreadable disease. That if you're 7 to 10 meters anyone, you're gonna get this disease, no matter what. It's like this is, the next thing. There's the next black plague that's coming along. It's and then I have to see it to believe it. I'm very visual like that, and it's a case of it's not actually happening, and it's so talk about an IQ test. It's like, okay, we know that people will roll over on their backs if we scratch their fucking stomachs. We know if they don't, then we'll put a little bit of fear of God into them. Then they go scurrying into their fucking abodes. They go scurrying under their rocks, which were our houses. We locked ourselves away for 3 months, scared to leave our house.
Yeah.
Locked ourselves away in our houses.
Yeah.
All right. So
I got my wife in the barrel. I better not open my mouth.
But you talk about you talk about controlling measure, and you talk about an IQ.
We went like that. How many needles do you want to stick in us? What's in it? Don't know.
Don't know.
Just stick it in.
Yeah.
I want to travel. Stick it in.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to go to Marbella. Stick it in.
I want to get out.
My wife wants me to. Stick it in.
But I want to get out, right? But it's true. It's true. So it's like, if this is a test for something that was so overly exaggerated, my heart goes out to people that did pass away from, my heart goes out every year to people that pass away from the flu. That goes out every year. Do you know what I mean? People that pass away from cancer, people that pass away from fucking AIDS, whatever it may be. My heart, of course, it goes out to them. That you'd be inhumane not to say that. But if this was an IQ test for something that wasn't really that, that bad, then what's to come? What is to come? And then I think to myself, right, do I need to prepare myself and my family for what's? Absolutely. Can I trust what the government says or what's been told to me? Absolutely not. So what do I have to do to protect my kingdom, my family? I have to think for myself. I have to believe what's right and wrong in my moral compass, in my self-belief, and for my children and for my wife, for their best interests at heart. Have the government got my best interests at heart? Absolutely not. Have they proven that? Yes, they have. Can they be trusted? No, because whilst we were locked down, there were, look at the shenanigans that was going on in government. Have, again, through personal experience. I've travelled the world, okay? The world, and this is no exaggeration throughout the pandemic, because I could travel through certain visas, and I haven't contracted once. I've slept with my children who have had, my babies there and coughing and splat on me. Still haven't had it. And if I have had it, I haven't known I've had it. I've probably just brushed it off like a cold, like I do anything. Anytime I feel under the weather, I hit the gym, I go for a run, feel the shit the next day, I'll do the same. I'll thrash it out of my system. And building up my immune system. as well. Am I going to put stuff into my body that I don't know? I need to know what's going into my body. So, again, encapsulating that all into one, this whole IQ test of, it just makes me think what is going. But it makes me a better person, because then that's why it makes me even more want to be even more self-sustainable and self-reliable, and because not only am I doing that for myself, but I'm doing it for my family, because we're so divided, and it's just shown me these past couple of years that no one or nothing can be trusted. And I've always been a trustworthy person, especially being in the military. I've had to put my trust into that person or this person. But coming out of this pandemic, it's made me realise that nothing and no one should be trusted. You need to do your DD on absolutely everything before it can. I can give it a little sniff of trust. It's a case of, right, I've never been like that, but now it's like, am I going to trust strangers that run the? No, I don't know them. They don't know me. It's like, no, and it's just made me even more, right, I'm just going to do me, and I'm going to do my family. If I can inspire along the way, then great, because that's all I want to do. I want to inspire our younger generation, and I want to inspire them to think for themselves. That's all I want to do. Think for themselves, be able to, have that capability to be self-sustainable. Not to be reliant. Yes, work for the system, but don't be reliant on it.
Yeah.
I love the system. I love what it brings. Like I said to you before, I love working within the system, but I don't like being reliant on it. It's completely two different things. Like being reliant on it and then being, then working for it. And like we said, they do both. They make you work, be reliant on it, therefore having to work for it. It's a knock-on effect of where it doesn't really, like you said back in the day, where working the system would benefit from it. We would rely on us. Yeah. Where now it's like, it's done that. It's gone right. We now rely on it, and they know it. They've got you by the fucking balls. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, we have a lot of these conversations on the show. We talk about things like Bitcoin and gold and owning assets you can control, having multiple streams of income, owning your own brand, owning your own media. What was interesting, not labouring Andrew Tate, but watching it, he was building that. I know he was building it in the background. I know him. I know he had multiple passports. He had multiple bank accounts. He had multiple jurisdictions. He had multiple online assets. He other than maybe if he did create his own energy and food, he had pretty much built this away from the system, and the system still got it all.
Yeah.
They still got it all. He told me how many bank accounts they shut down. On the same day, how many, so a bit like what the media did to you. The stories were all there and they went ding on every channel. The banks on the same day. Yeah.
It's coming.
They all went. It's like Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and Stripe and all the banks all were there in a boardroom with all their fingers over a button. That was how he explained it, and they just shut him down. And he went to Romania for a bit of exile. And they've got him in Romania.
But when you get people that can think for themselves, they're less easy to divide.
Yeah.
And because it's...
Do you think that's why they go for Andrew then? Because he gets a lot of people to think for themselves.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And when you think for yourself, you become an asset, because you've got a multi-dimensional way of thinking, not just a tunnel-visioned way of indoctrinated thinking. This is right, this is right, this is where we should do it, this is how we should get through society. Education is super outdated in my eyes. Yeah. Politics is super outdated in my eyes. If it wasn't for my wife, would I have my kids in school? Probably not.
That's actually the main thing keeping us in the country, is the kids and the school.
Same.
We talk about maybe going somewhere else once they've grown up.
Would I love to take my kids out of school and teach them from home? Yes. English, maths, finances, the way the system works. Absolutely, I would pull them out tomorrow. But my wife's got different opinions, and I respect her opinions. Yeah. And I trust her opinions, because she's the one trusted person in my life that I go to bounce ideas off. I'm not all for me and go, right, this is how it, okay, I'll get your point of view. I'm happy with your point of view, and I'm happy to go along with the children. Are you happy? Yep, we're happy. Right, we go along with it. But
do you ever get her point of view and then do what you want anyway? Have you ever done that?
I always do that. But this one thing, because we have a shared interest, we've got our children, we're very, very, very lucky to have our children. We're very responsible for our children, but it's something that we both brought them into the world, so we'll have a shared opinion on it. But I'm not saying I would pull them out, but it's something that as my mindset opens up and as my eyes widen, my reality is completely different to this outdated reality. That's why I'm so, I'm all for the metaverse, I'm all for cryptocurrency, I'm all for decentralization, I'm all for DeFi.
Because they stand for freedom.
Because they stand for freedom. Well, it's a system outside of the system ultimately, but it's a system that's governed by each other. We're not reliant on a system, we're not reliant on a government, I'm reliant on you to say this is such a trusted organisation, or such a trusted system really is. Without the community, there is no system. Yeah. We're here, the government will form a community. They'll give you housing if you haven't got a thing. They put you, cram you into this hole. They make you reliant on benefits. They make you reliant on certain jobs. They make you where the decentralized world and DeFi and the metaverse, it cannot work unless you and me don't get on. Unless you and me don't have that sort of potential trust there. Or that I don't trust, so it's like, I need you as much as you need me, rather than needing a system or a government, and they don't need us.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's like this, and that's what I like about that. But then you have a whole different system outside of the system that potentially is a threat. Well, that is a threat to the system. So what do? You take care of the threat outside of the system to suck it back into the system, which is happening with regulation right now with cryptocurrency. They're wanting to regulate crypto. They wanted to, it's and all that would do is just create more divide because a lot of countries, UAE have embraced crypto. It's like people just end up moving out of whatever jurisdiction to go and live that life. And because that's so reachable, because it's so you can almost touch that. That's why they're clamping down so hard. That's why governments are clamping down so hard on societies, because there's that vision now that a world exists outside the system, and it's touchable and it's relatable and it's growing more and more and more and more, and that's why all these IQ tests. That's why all these lockdowns and these so-called pandemics are coming into play now, because if there's ever time to try and break that from again putting as much distance between one and the other, then we're going through that right now. It's a case of you look at the crypto market; it's crashed. It's in a bear market at the moment. We're starting to see a bit of a bull run. But it's with the pandemic they've gone. Now people are grateful that they've got jobs because they can pay their mortgage. The houses that the bank own, that the government own, they're grateful that. So so you've gone from, being a bar manager all of a sudden, and this is hypothetical, to I'll go collecting glasses again. Of course I will. It's like you talk about a great reset. It's like, people are now grateful just to be working again. Where people were getting probably too entitled, or their vision was getting too expansive, and those blinkers were coming off, and the government have just gone they've put them firmly back on and gone, whoa, 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 let's take that away. And it's like all of a sudden you're grateful that you're just getting, that you can go outside your house. What, we can go outside of our house? What, we can jump on a plane and go on holidays. Oh my God, let's make sure that we stick into these boxes, because if we don't, what's going to happen? They're going to lock us down again, or something's going to happen again where they're going to, again, the controlling measure. No, do I think there's something in the jabs? No, but do I think that's a controlling measure of, right, once you've had that more data, right, I've now got your NHS number, and you now have to get the NHS app if you want to. You have to update that. They won't just give you a certificate to say that you've been jabbed. Every 3 months when I travel, I have to, my jabs only last 3 months on paper, even though I've had them. They only last 3 months on paper. So it's a case of, right, I can't just get a certificate going, because then the app is irrelevant. Because then I know no longer have to log into the app. They know no longer where I am. I know I have to do the updates, get all my information, everything like that. It's a huge data collecting exercise. You know, and again, I could go onto, you know, different elements of this. Big data runs the world. Talk about big data collection during the pandemic. Of going into shops, of going into, you know, wherever you go into, like track and trace, and it's like, then the app comes out and you can't, it's like, how much data do you think they've gathered over the last 2 years? More than they've gathered in the previous 50 years. Yeah. Let me tell you that right away. And big data, as we know, runs the world. Runs the world. I can tell you how, you know, without even letting you know on your phone, they're showing you how to think through your apps. That's why I don't have social media on my phone. Don't have any of it on my phone. If it wasn't for my career, I wouldn't have it at all. But they're telling you how to think. You know, my children, all of a sudden, you know, because they can hear potentially hear what's been said, or the way that their algorithm work. They get a pattern on what they like. All of a sudden, they're pointing you into keeping you distracted with what you like, and why everything else is around is just growing. And it's scary. But you know, but again, you know, I'm part of it. You know, I'm not saying get out the system, because the system is good for a lot of people. You know, it serves the people well. People that haven't got that drive to work, haven't got the you know, ability to, you know, to believe in themselves, to, you know, the capacity to realize their full potential. You know, it's great for, you know, for the majority of people. But the two worlds can't coexist, because the moment they do, you identify that. Look at your Andrew Tates. And what have they done? Well, I tell you what they've done. They've brought him back into the system, and they've destroyed that bridge for him. Bang, bank accounts, crypto, whatever you name it. Because that's what it is at the moment. What they're trying to do is merge the two worlds together, the decentralized world with the system.
So that they can essentially make it non-decentralized anymore and control it.
Of course, but what they're doing
regulation is
the bridge is there, right?
Yeah.
So the people can jump from one, but that bridge is being destroyed. And that, you know, it's like Asgard. That bridge, like, well, guess what? You can't go into that realm now. You can't go into that realm. You know, but if you're smart enough, you can bounce between the two. And that's when I believe that you outsmart the system. Is when you can use the system to your advantage and get out of it and escape it whenever you want. Yeah. That's being smart. That's, you know, but to get out of the system and then to slate the system and to go, come on, you know, then you're asking for trouble, because the system is bigger than any system out there at the moment. But one day, touch wood, an external system will collapse the current system that we live in.
I hope you enjoyed my discussion with Ant Middleton. If you'd like the full, uncut, explicit interview with Ant, you can watch it here. If you want to see high quality guests like Ant, like this video, subscribe to the channel and turn the notification bell on.